an environmental leadership gathering of the AEE Alberta chapter. My name is Amy Roesler, and I am the CWEEL lead on the AEE Alberta board. And we are leveraging today the commitment and support of Kelsey Chegus, the Alberta representative for CWEEL since 2017 and a 2018 board member. Before we get started, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are hosting this virtual gathering on the traditional territories of many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. The acknowledgement of traditional treaty land and recognition for people of the territory is an important step in reconciliation. Please take a moment to recognize the land where you are situated today. Across Canada, there are 11 numbered treaties between the Crown and First Nations, with treaties 6, 7, and 8 encompassing most of Alberta. In recognizing that we all have rights and obligations with respect to treaty areas, we also acknowledge that we are all treaty people. The Association of Energy Engineers is a nonprofit professional society with an international network of over 18,000 members from more than 100 countries working in the fields of energy efficiency and management, renewable energy generation, energy services, sustainability, and environmental compliance. The Alberta chapter, including ongoing representation at the US-based CWEEL division of AEE, has been active in creating networking and professional development opportunities. Our volunteer board and directors have been building capacity among energy management professionals in Alberta and fostering sustainable development skills since 2014. Our work advances industry best practices and showcases and celebrates local success stories and role models. We've been holding virtual events since the start of the pandemic to stay active and engaged with our members, and we plan to have other events throughout the year. You are also welcome to join us for board meetings where we include time for informal sharing to leverage our network of amazing people for new ideas and connections to further the important work of our members. We are always welcoming new members and volunteers. If you are interested in renewing your membership, if you have a story to share, or if you would like to get more involved, please feel free to reach us at info@aeealberta.org. Thank you for joining us today. We recognize that this is a particularly challenging time in Alberta and elsewhere for what feels like and truly is a multitude of reasons. Although we considered rescheduling, we think it is also important to move forward with these opportunities for connection, especially during these difficult times when we are most physically isolated. That has become even more important since we first started planning this event, the vision of Kelsey. Thank you, Kelsey. Please don't worry if you are interrupted by anyone you may be sharing space with, working with, caring for, or trying to teach at home. All are welcome today. Our spheres are interconnected. Our circle of energy professionals in Alberta is relatively small, and the time we have in our working careers is relatively short. So let's engage together and explore how we might amplify each other's work and increase our impact. Recognizing that there are many folks who could not make it at this particular time today, we will be recording the main presentations so that this information can be shared. We will not be recording the Q&A and discussion that follows so that folks who are here with us live can feel free in the discussion. However you are joining this discussion, whether in person or via the recording, we are so glad you are here. We will be covering a lot today, and part of our grand plan, Kelsey's grand plan, is to schedule a follow-up event at a later time for more in-depth breakout discussions, connection, and planning and next steps with chapter members. So please stay tuned for that by signing up for newsletters through the AEE Alberta chapter website. Today, we are honored to have some very special guests with us from CWEEL, from Efficiency Canada and Dunsky Consulting, two of the organizations that started Canada's Equal by 30 initiative, and from Step Up, a volunteer-run nonprofit focusing on gender equity, diversity, and inclusion in the energy management industry. Our first speaker is Laurie Wiegand-Jackson. She is president of Utility Advantage, an energy services company that she founded in 2003. She has been in the energy industry for her entire career with various positions in engineering, business development, energy conservation programs, and management. Laurie is an advocate for energy efficiency, distributed clean energy, and related technology, as well as a promoter for diversity and gender equity in the energy sector. Laurie is an inductee in the AEE Energy Manager Hall of Fame, a past president of AEE, founder of CWEEL, and she currently serves as chair of the CWEEL Governing Board. Laurie is going to take us through some of the history of the CWEEL Group and AEE's commitment to the Equal by 30 initiative, which aims to advance the participation of women in the clean energy transition. CWEEL members meet formally at the major AEE conferences, and there has been so much interest and growth in CWEEL in chapters across the world that we now have a CWEEL lead position on the board and the opportunity to formalize a CWEEL group here in Alberta. With that, I'll turn it over to Laurie. Welcome, Laurie, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Amy and Kelsey, for inviting me here today. I'm so glad to be here. I want to start out just by saying, thank you all who are participating today. Our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Alberta, throughout Canada, and around the world as we all deal with the implications of the current pandemic. So that being said, we're happy that we're continuing with these actions, looking at ways to bring more women into our industry and making it a place where, we all feel appreciated, where there are opportunities, where our careers are advancing, and we support each other through times like this and better times ahead. So I do have a quick question. Am I sharing my screen, or are you all sharing the PowerPoint presentation?
Sorry, Laurie. Yeah, I have it ready if you want me to do it, or if you have it there.
Okay.
You should be able to share.
Okay. Let me try doing that. Hold on one second. Okay. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, we are.
Let's see. Okay. So today I'm going to talk and introduce you all to the Council on Women in Energy and Environmental Leadership, talk about who we are and what we do. So as mentioned earlier, CWEEL is a division of the Association of Energy Engineers. We provide a network for women in the energy and environmental industries, and our mission is to support the career development, advancement, and fulfillment of women in the energy and environmental fields through programming, outreach, and mentorship. We also provide scholarships for women to pursue technical STEM education and also for training. And we strive to increase the diverse membership of AEE and our industry, but through AEE by involving women in all levels of participation and leadership in the organization. And to learn more about us, you definitely should visit our website at www.cweel.org. So currently we have 39 women and men from various AEE chapters in the United States, Canada, and globally representing CWEEL and supporting CWEEL local activities. And as you can see, we have representation, quite a bit of representation in the US, but also Bangladesh, Chile, Ghana, and more, throughout the world. And these numbers are growing. We've had significant international growth of CWEEL over the last few years, in part because we have made a concerted effort to grow internationally. And that includes having a number of our board members representing that international objective. And another thing about CWEEL is that we are supporting common goals with many of the companies and governments that we work for. And so AEE and CWEEL joined the Global Movement Equal by 30 campaign last year, and we've submitted in our commitments, and we're very excited about that. So we are working to support the initiative to work towards equal pay, equal leadership, and equal opportunities for women in the clean energy sector by 2030. And so CWEEL is a very significant component of that AEE initiative. The value that we bring to our members includes career and professional development. So we have a leadership guest lecture series annually. We provide multiple career and professional development webinars throughout the year. We have educational and training programs that where we participate in AEE's conferences. And we have a quarterly newsletter and an annual all women authored edition of an AEE journal. So it's a great opportunity for women to be published. We have an amazing mentoring program, matching qualified mentors to provide support, inspiration, guidance, and the tools for career development and professional growth through one-on-one and group meetings. So we additionally bring our mentor-mentee pairs together with each other, as they are able to focus on things like how they can overcome obstacles, how to achieve their personal growth, if they have specific challenges that they're working through, or how to present themselves for career advancement. We provide corporate clients. So we do have corporate memberships in addition to individual memberships, and we integrate and coordinate their internal mentoring programs with our external mentoring program, because we find there's benefits to being not only mentored by someone within your own organization, but having that person outside of your organization that you can be supported by as well. Another important component of CWEEL is the networking and community. And developing our local presence is an important aspect of that. So today's meeting to launch and develop interest in CWEEL is the first step in building that local community. But what CWEEL also brings is a global network of women in the energy and environmental industries that you have access to. We share experiences and develop relationships and enhance our career achievement, job opportunities, and growth. And we also provide volunteer opportunities and leadership opportunities within CWEEL and AEE local chapters, as well as AEE International. And then scholar program for academic and training, we work with the AEE Foundation to provide scholarship monies that encourage qualified scholars in energy management, energy engineering, sustainability, and STEM to further education in these fields. And we make an impact by supporting women to be successful and make lifelong friendships with peers and others in the industry. And I can attest to that, having been a member of AEE for over 20 years and in CWEEL since we started it about 10 years ago, that the relationships that I've developed through this have helped my career, added, business to my company, but more importantly, have become great friends and peers and mentors with me at various stages of my career and relationship with AEE and CWEEL. And I do want to just again highlight, we will be having 2 events, AEE World, October 20th through the 22nd. We're hoping to be in person in New Orleans, Louisiana this year. However, in addition to the in-person, we will still be having virtual no matter what. So there'll be ways to participate in our programs, our breakfast event, as well as our networking reception, whether you can attend in person or just joining us online. So having that community and connecting with each other is a very important component of CWEEL. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I just want to highlight that we have some significant accomplished women on our board for CWEEL. And each board member chairs a committee that is focused on a different and important area to help us accomplish our mission. And so if you're interested in helping us make a difference and encouraging and engaging more women into our industry, look at these different committees and pick the one that best suits your skills and talents and reach out to us, because we are always looking for additional support, and this is how we accomplish what we set out to do. You know, we have no paid staff. It is a completely volunteer organization. And in terms of our structure, CWEEL is launching new CWEEL groups, just like we are here today in Alberta, to recruit, engage, and represent women locally in our industry. This will increase the diversity of our local AE chapters and the energy industry overall. CWEEL groups host their own networking events, virtual or in person, depending on what's happening and what the rules are. Those can be just local, or you can combine together with some other CWEEL groups and form regional events. We will support 100% your activities. So through our technology, tools that we have for meetings and registrations, for marketing, for speakers, whatever you need from us, we're here to support you to be successful in developing a local CWEEL group. And the org chart basically is showing AEE as an international organization with regional directors and AEE international chapters like the Alberta chapter. And then within that, now we have the CWEEL lead and our CWEEL chapter liaisons, which are Amy and Kelsey. And then the development of a CWEEL group. As that CWEEL group forms, you may have a CWEEL local advisory board that helps you to establish and grow the CWEEL group. And then one other option as you continue to grow CWEEL is that you may be interested in having a CWEEL student group associated with a local, one or more local colleges or universities to help develop young or just any talent for women coming and pursuing STEM education and encouraging them to come into the energy industry. So that's a lot of information to cover. I want to say two things that I want to dispel in terms of preconceived notions. One is that you must be an engineer in order to participate, be a member, or engage in AEE and CWEEL, and that is not true. You can, in fact, we have lawyers, we have marketing people, we have, people with general business acumen. There are certifications that do not require engineering degrees, including, facility auditor, sustainability, business profession, energy business professional. There are many ways that many people can participate in AEE and CWEEL, and though the name Association of Energy Engineers implies it is all engineers, it truly is not. So that is one. The second is that CWEEL is for women only, and that is not true either. In fact, we know that men are very important to us achieving our objectives, and so many of them are in leadership positions within our industry and both want to support us from a mentoring standpoint, but also helping in terms of decision-making authority they have with regard to career advancement. And so we encourage men to join CWEEL and to participate in our organization as well. So in terms of becoming a CWEEL member, if you aren't already an AEE member, CWEEL membership, we are a division of the Association of Energy Engineers, so those two go hand in hand. And you just simply go to aeecenter.org and fill out and click on the select individual member application, and then it'll walk you through. I want to highlight that our CWEEL membership fee is $30, but increases to $50 in June. And if you are not already an AEE member, if you enter CWEEL 50, that's a discount code for 50% off of AEE's membership fee. So definitely, if you haven't already joined, we would encourage you to do so. We do have a corporate membership as well. I won't go into too much detail other than to say that if your company is interested in joining and being an AEE and CWEEL corporate member, please reach out to me and I can walk you through how we integrate with companies in terms of providing discounted membership to AE and CWEEL, and to opportunities for speaking and lots of name recognition at events and on our website. Lots of great things, and the coordination of our mentoring program with any corporate mentoring programs so that we can share best practices and really help the company's mentoring program be world-class. So I know I covered a lot of information. I would just say at the end, connect with me, please, reach out. I'm on LinkedIn, Laurie Wiegand-Jackson. I would love to hear from you and connect with you. So please do reach out to me. And thank you again to Amy and Kelsey for your hard work at pulling this together and for your commitment to the vision and mission of CWEEL. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laurie, for the overview of CWEEL and some inspiration as well of what can be accomplished. I'd like to now welcome our second speaker, Marianne McGowan. She has formerly, I'm sure, being an executive with Duke Energy, serving as CFO of one of the major generating stations. And more recently, she was manager of strategy and implementation, focusing on institutional markets. She had stimulated policy and segmentation in energy efficiency, demand response, sustainability, and workforce development. She is a decisive and innovative leader. She was recently named Vice President of Strategic Development at the Utilities Group. Among a number of board and advisory positions Marianne holds, she is also a member of the CWEEL Board, and she has spent many years advocating for diversity and inclusion in our industry. Marianne will speak a bit more on how our industry benefits when our organizations and project teams are more inclusive to both men and women. And Marianne, when I was looking at the list of boards and advisory positions you hold, I held back from trying to list all of them. They are many, they are impressive, and please touch on any of them that you want to highlight here as well.
That's just what happens when you get older. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if this works. Can you see that?
Not yet, Marianne.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can pull it up.
I was going to say, why don't you just pull it up and we'll go through it that way rather than struggle with the...
Yep,
I could see it fine, but it wasn't obviously coming across in your world.
Okay. There, can folks see my screen now?
Perfect.
Yep, we can see it.
I can even see it.
Great.
So I thought we'd have a little bit of discussion on diversity and inclusion, certainly a hot topic in many segments. And I want to talk about how it equals a higher degree of success. And I think that's where the battle of all that ends up winning. Next slide, please. There we go. So I thought we'd examine women's impact across industries, and we talk about it in 4 components. So a contribution to profitability and competitiveness, the contribution to environmental sustainability, contributing to corporate social responsibility, and creative, inclusive corporate and industry cultures. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk about male-dominated industries, which I think many of us fall into. And besides, this is where I had data. So always good to support that. So we're going to look at 5 sectors of industries. We're gonna, and I mean, that's where the data came from. So from the energy industry, we're going to talk about oil, gas, and coal. From the consumer products side, data was collected on the alcohol and tobacco consumer products. Utilities and waste services were represented by electric and gas utilities, environmental services and water utilities. Materials represent paper and forest products, construction materials, containers and packaging, metals and mining, and chemicals. And then the industrial sector was represented by aerospace and defense, construction, and engineering. So our first topic will be on the gender diversity increases profitability and competitiveness. So we found that the identifying new revenue generating paths was one of the benefits that came out of a gender diverse workforce. Advancing innovation, particularly in industries that have not traditionally been willing to innovate and change. Also, an increase in transparency to build shareholder trust. So the key to all of this, next slide, please, is I think where one of our biggest wins could come. So companies with the highest percentage of women in management were 45% more profitable than companies with a lower percentage of women in management. These are the kinds of facts that are going to get attention in companies and in management that'll help drive this change. Next slide, please. The next topic that we're going to talk about is gender diversity and how it contributes to environmental sustainability. So we have consumers and investors that are seeking environmental factors in their purchases and investment choices. That factor of them seeking that is going to impact revenue of companies. It's going to lower legal compliance costs, and it's going to have a positive impact on long-term financial viability. It's going to help the industry respond to regulatory pressures and societal backlash against pollution, all while advancing a greener production process. So when we decrease the environmental impact with an increase in gender diversity on boards. So the boards that had more women on them reduced the intensity of energy consumption by 60%. Greenhouse gas emissions improved by 39%, and water intensity improved by 46%. These numbers are pretty astounding. By the way, to comment on Laurie's last comment about not having to be an engineer, I'm an accountant by trade. So that's why these numbers, I'm a numbers girl. That's all I can say. I'm a numbers girl. So the next thing we're going to talk about is gender diversity and how it improves corporate social responsibility. So one of the things that we found that women in the workforce and management within companies protect the safety and labor rights more than those who do not have women in management. Integrating local businesses into the supply chain, understanding the relationship companies have with the local community, almost sort of like the farm to table philosophy, sort of the local business supply chain to the existing company, helps with the labor force within that area. Integrating community development into business strategies. So we want to support social development projects. So communicate more with the public, not only about your process improvements, but also about the benefits your industry has on society. I'm going to give an example of that. So, say I work for a steel mill, and I can talk about maybe some process improvements I might have on the manufacturing side. But in addition to that, let people know what steel does for society, how many products it's part of, what it means to all different segments and sectors of other economic development. And then building local capacity and empowering women. Oftentimes, particularly in the engineering arena, we forget the human element in every machine. Somebody needs to run the machine. Even if it's robotics, somebody needs to run it. So when we talk about corporate social responsibility, companies with the highest percentage of women on their boards have a rating of their social responsibility performance 74% higher than those with the lower percentage of women on boards. Again, good numbers to combat with. So the last piece of information that we're going to talk about is creating inclusive corporate and industry cultures with gender diversity. So we're going to create inclusive corporate cultures from the top down. Make every employee feel that they have a vote and a seat at the table. Their opinion matters. Promoting inclusive industry cultures. Creating an environment that there are people that look like me in management. If I'm a female, if I'm a minority, if I see others in those positions within that industry, that makes that more attainable to me. Lastly, advocating for greater diversity and inclusion. So the goal would be to develop leaders within our workforce, our own workforce, and support them on their journey to leadership. I think it's important to take a look at the dynamics of what the key inhibitors are to create a greater gender diverse workforce, particularly in those male-dominated industries. So these were the top 6. I don't imagine that they're going to be real surprising to many of you. So retention challenges related to work-life balance was the big piece, 59%, almost 60%. Unwelcoming corporate culture for women, 57%. Retention challenges related to perceived lack of career mobility at 40%. I want to highlight the term perceived. Negative industry image, 39%. Gender imbalance in STEM education, 36%. That makes my hair stand on end. Difficulty re-entering the industry after taking parental or caregiving leave at 35%. So with that being said, I think it was important to note there are 3 factors shared by inclusive companies. They relate back to some of the points that we just mentioned. They have a top-down commitment to building a diverse workforce and creating an inclusive culture. And that includes zero tolerance for bullying and sexual harassment and a clear set of anti-harassment policies. They have a holistic approach and systematic approach to women representation, consisting of measures that ensure equal access to hiring and promotion opportunities at different levels, and engaging employees, both men and women, through the implementation process. They set transparent targets and roadmaps for increased female employment and leadership, which are key to shifting the corporate culture away from words and toward actions. It enables the ongoing measurement of the effectiveness of the new policies. For those of us who have worked in STEM careers, we're pretty familiar with the fact that if we can't measure it, it won't happen. So a message, failure to increase the representation of women across male-dominated industries will limit those industries industry's potential to innovate and transform for positive global impacts and to reap the financial and organizational dividends of a gender diverse workforce. Remember, diversity means diversity in thought. That change in the thought will equate to more success. Use the data to drive the change. I think that we are fortunate. This data came from the Foreign Policy Analytics Group out of Washington, D.C. It is inclusive of international as well as domestic data. So I think my message to you is use the data to drive the change.
Thank you so much, Marianne,
Sure.
for that. Yeah, I inspired again on multiple topics there. I think the environmental benefits are something that I hadn't dug into yet. I blame having kids for not having kept up to date with, from corporate social responsibility, which was kind of where some of my training was, through to environmental benefits of diversity. And I think the barriers you listed, I do, and I'm sure that many relate to multiple, like several of those barriers through our careers. So thank you very much for sharing that. I'd like to now invite Marie-Noel Ouellet, Operations Director with Dunsky Energy Consulting, and then Kirstin Pulse, Community Organizer with Efficiency Canada, to speak a bit about each of their organization's commitment to Equal by 30 and provide some concrete examples of what that commitment has meant to their organizations so far. So with that, Marie-Noel, would you like to speak a little bit about that?
Yes, thanks a lot. So in just a few minutes, I thought I would focus on a few of the, I guess, initiatives that we've worked on in the last couple of years since we joined the campaign of Equal by 30. So it was almost exactly 2 years ago that we officially joined the campaign and publicized our pledge as part of a member of Equal by 30. So I want to talk to you about what our pledge was and some of the elements that we've been working on in the last couple of years. So our pledge was in 3 parts, and I'll focus maybe on one more than the others. The first was to take a proactive approach towards gender equality in our recruitment and career advancement. It's very much linked to some of the barriers that Marianne just mentioned in our talk. We realize that both of those things are really important to make sure that we have equality at Dunsky. So to start off, I want to mention that for us, an objective for us is to make sure that there is gender equality at all levels and within all roles within the company, so that there's a good balance across the company. It changes all the time, of course, as people get promoted, as people come and leave, but we've done, I feel, pretty well, and we continue to work hard to maintain that good balance. In terms of recruitment, we've put a lot of effort into making sure that little things that ultimately could make a difference are given attention. So things like making sure that the required skills that we put in a posting are truly required skills. We know that women don't tend or won't be as inclined to apply for positions if they don't feel like they can tick every requirement on the job posting. So we really try and be specific about what we truly need. In our interview process, we try and make sure that there are women present on the interview panel, that we ask standard questions. We also offer our candidates an opportunity to show us what they can do instead of just telling us what they can do. So we give our candidates tests to show us to demonstrate the experience and skills that they have. And I've also, as part of the team that does a lot of the recruitment at Dunsky, I've taken some training on unconscious bias, which has really helped me, explore that and see how it could interfere with my selection process when recruiting. So that's on the recruitment side. On the retention side, we've done a couple of things. So over time, we've added more and more elements of flexibility in what we offer our employees. So we've always had flexible hours. We have generous vacation packages, unlimited sick leave, but just recently, actually this summer, we're starting a pilot for 4-day weeks for the employees who are interested. We know that flexibility and good work-life balance is often a barrier to women in the workforce. So it's something that we, partly for that reason, partly for other reasons, but was something that we definitely want to offer our team. We also do annually an employee satisfaction survey. And in the past, it was a generic survey that we sent to the team, and we didn't specifically try and understand how men and women potentially felt differently on some topics. So now we ask people to, if they're okay with it, identify whether they're a man or a woman when they complete the survey, so that we can then see if there's a difference in the level of satisfaction of both groups in the organization. So that's in terms of our first pledge. Maybe quickly on the second one, we try and make sure we committed to highlighting and supporting women doing well in the industry and being active in the industry. So we've put a lot of energy into, for the women in the company who are interested, to support them in finding board positions or positions within committees that they're interested in joining. We've also been lucky enough to have good role models within the company. Definitely, a couple of women with experience in the industry who were able to guide and support more junior members of the team. So that, I think, has been very helpful for some of the younger team members on our team. And we also encourage women and as equally as men to publish their work, to promote their projects at conferences, things like that. So we encourage women that way. And then our third pledge was to be active and share our experience and learn from others so that we continuously improve. So being part of this event today was partly is a good opportunity to do just that. So that's it for me. I don't want to take too much time, but thank you.
Thank you so much. A lot of tangible work and progress made. So thanks for sharing that. Kirstin, would you like to share a little bit about Efficiency Canada's experience?
Awesome, definitely, thank you. And I'm going to share my screen just so that folks can, have a visual to look at while I'm chatting. And really awesome to hear about what's happening at Dunsky. So thank you for talking about all of those concrete examples about how you're making change. For the folks who don't know about us, Efficiency Canada is the national think tank for energy efficiency. And so as a leading organization taking on public advocacy, we have a big role to play in both advocating for gender equality, but also working on it ourselves. And I think it's really tough to advocate for something that you're not representing within your own office. We joined the Equal by 30 commitment in 2018 with 3 goals. We wanted to establish pay scales for all positions and levels to equalize pay in different positions and between genders. We wanted to have 50% women in leadership roles and to create policies that foster a gender inclusive work environment. With these goals in mind, we started taking action right away. We were able to achieve our gender balance within management within just a few months and instituted policies such as remote work and a flexible work hours and a flexible work environment also right away. But I think long-term, by making a public commitment, the Equal by 30 campaign has really encouraged us to keep moving forward. Our job isn't done just because we've achieved these initial changes. We continue to self-reflect and to look critically at our policies. So for example, this year, we reviewed and changed some of our hiring policies. One example being, we always make sure to list the salary in every job posting. And we have extended our gender equity goal to also apply to our procurement processes and our volunteer positions. So I think that Equal by 30 has really kickstarted a process that will never be done, but it opens up space for employees like myself to voice concerns and start conversations if we see something that we think needs to change. So overall, the real benefit has been that the challenge has made sure that we have a culture focused on change and focused on self-reflection. So I think it's been a really good experience for us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We also have Lisa Elke. My last name is spelled O-E and it's Roesler. So I'm making my best attempt at the O-E pronunciation, Lisa, joining us today representing Step Up. And she has generously shared her time with us in between appointments today. So her connection may not be the greatest. So I will do a brief overview of some materials that she sent over, and then she will be available in the Q&A as well. Step Up is a volunteer-run nonprofit focusing on gender equity, diversity, and inclusion in the energy management industry, particularly at senior levels of leadership. They were founded in 2019 and are based in Toronto with plans to expand the network across the country in the coming years. Lisa joined the board of directors this past fall. Joining her were two gentlemen that identify as male. These additions resulted in a more accurate representation of a diverse landscape with BIPOC, male, and LGBTQ+ members on the board. Step Up recently rolled out a parental leave survey to their network, which closed at the end of April, and they will be sharing their findings. They will also be hosting the second of their Step Up sessions geared towards diversity, inclusion, and equity in the energy management sector in early June. The session will be with Annette Verschuren of Enerstore, moderating a conversation with C-suite executives and a focus on commitment, measurement, verification, pay transparency, and equity, diversity, and inclusion policies. Stay tuned for more information on that through the Step Up LinkedIn page or through their newsletter and website, which is www.stepup-energy.com. They also recently shared an RFQ. Oh, sorry, did you want to speak a little bit there, Lisa? Sorry.
Sure, I was just going to say thank you, and so far we've had an amazing panel, and I wanted to sort of speak to Marianne's points about using the data to drive change, and that's a focus that Step Up Energy Management is looking to do on our focus on increasing the role of Move the Dialogue on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the energy management sector. We took on the parental leave policy this spring to try and gather more data about how companies are doing, and then to be able to push information out about what a benchmark would look like for others. We realize that parental leave policies really vary across all sectors, and we see that as a first step for inclusion. So those results should be available, I would say, probably in the next month or so. And yes, the baseline study that we are taking on energy sector will again give us the data so companies not only to commit to their own diversity inclusion accords, but to put some measurement and verification in place so we can continue to see improvement across all sectors. So it's been a terrific presentation today, and we're so grateful to have the opportunity on behalf of Step Up Energy Management and certainly CWEEL and the great work that everybody here is doing.
Thank you, Lisa, for chiming in and participating and providing that insight on the move, as we all are so often these days. So some of the themes that I've heard across these presentations certainly center around, the economic and environmental potential broadly of increased inclusion and diversity, as well as some of the barriers that women and other diverse groups experience in the workplace. Some of the tangible actions that are being taken in various forums and companies across Canada and more broadly. And something that really inspires me, makes me more optimistic, I think, than in the past are some of the policy actions being taken internally at companies, and recognizing those barriers and taking action to address them. So we view this as just the start of a conversation. We hope that you have taken away something uplifting from what was shared today, or a new idea which you feel you can incorporate or take action towards. Watch for a follow-up event through the AEE Alberta website. You can sign up for our newsletter through the contact pages. And thank you everyone for joining today. With that, we'll close the formal portion and move on to more informal Q&A.